Hello and welcome to a case study of a match between my blue-black Faeries and Dredge. The first game of the match we lost, and before sideboarding we don't really have the tools to beat a Dredge deck that has gone off, so to speak. But after sideboard we add some useful tools. We have 2 surgical extractions and 1 Kalitas. We also tried adding a Liliana, the last hope, as it can deal with a lot of their 1 toughness creatures. This was mainly an experiment, and I don't know if that's a correct sideboarding choice, but there are some cards that are less useful, so we gave it a go. So this is game 2, and let's look at the opening hand. Of course we were on the play since we lost the die roll, and we have an opening hand with 3 lands and, most importantly, a surgical extraction. And since we're running 3 snapcasters, the surgicals are often can be used twice. So lands and surgicals were basically what I was hoping for, so that's a good thing. So we play a land, I assume the catacomb, since that's not getting in untapped unless we draw an island or swamp. So this is a replay, by the way. Yep, so with that getting tapped, and then it does some looting, and our opponent finds both a Dredger and an Amalgam. And if I recall correctly, I decide to go for the surgical during my turn. We suspend the Ancestral Visions and surgical his Amalgam. And my thinking behind that is easy. I want to take away as many of his recurring threats as possible. So suspending the Visions and then getting rid of his Amalgam. We see his hand and we notice another of the problematic cards, which is Conflagrate. The Narcomoebas without the Amalgams are less of an issue, since we do have a lot of flyers, but the Conflagrates are an issue, so we are certainly looking to deal with the Conflagrate with the first Snapcaster. So we get rid of all the Amalgams. And we get to play our second surgical with the Snapcaster. And we haven't seen any of the Bloodghasts, but I assume going for a Conflagrate, since he has so many cards in hand, would be a good idea. And he's certainly going off with his Cathartic Reunions. So he's starting to make his presence known, and we really don't have a lot going on except that we have a Visions And I know that this game will probably come down with him recurring his creatures every turn. But luckily we draw a Bitter Blossom, which will be a recurring thing of our own, which will probably be very useful in blocking his things while we try and nab a point of damage here and there. And we also have 2 Time Walks, cryptic commands in hand, so we will be able to buy time as soon as we get to 4 lands. So we just start attacking, hoping to do some damage and possibly lessen his clock. And next turn we get the Ancestral Vision to go off, hoping to find the 4th blue source, a 3rd blue source, 4th land. And he finds all the lands he needs to be able to recur his Bloodghast, and now they are at a troublesome amount. So at this point we are in trouble. Even though we got rid of the Conflagrate and the Amalgam, 3 Bloodghast is certainly an issue for the deck. Our blockers are not very big. But we have a Bitter Blossom, and next turn our visions will go off. So at this point we are pressed into defense to not take too much damage. And he has so many lands in hand that the Bloodghast will be able to come back every turn. So for now we are going to start jumping or trading, as it were. We prioritize the threats that are not coming back, but then we'll just have to trade with the ghasts. I don't want to trade any lands since I need the 4 mana to buy even more time. So next turn here, perfect. As target for our Spellstar Sprite, Narcomoeba. Another threat that's not coming back. And we get a jumper down, or possibly an attacker. And here we are hoping for the 4th blue source, 3rd blue source. And we do get one, but it is tapped. But we find a failed push, which will slow his clock a little bit. So we nab him for 1, as we know that we probably need to kill him somehow, some way. And possibly while we time walk him we can do a fair bit of damage. But we have a clock working against us. But we know that he has really, outside of Bloodghasts, the Narcomoebas and the occasional Dredge creature, we are probably not facing any more threats than these, annoying as they are. So we block 1 and we fail push 1. Just buying time, keeping up the Spellstar Sprite in case he has another Narcomoeba or whatever. And there we go, another Spellstar Sprite. Now we have 2 attackers. And he gets back all his casts and adds some other small dudes. We find another failed push, but we try to get in with some damage with the Spellstar Sprites and ready to cryptic him next turn. We find the Liliana, and at this point we're at 10 life, but we have a fair number of blockers. So we prioritize getting down the Liliana, which can act as a sort of a machine gun against the Lilianas, and possibly be a life buffer. But at this time we can no longer sustain the attack. We're firmly on the defensive, and we can just buy time. We have 4 blockers and a fatal push, so we can save the Liliana from dying at least. So he goes to the attack, and I do want to fatal push his Stinkweed Imp, since he is at 8 cards, and I would not mind him dredging that. And that's also a clock that's relevant against Dredge, so he can't really get it back. So we block them all, I think. And then we fatal push his imp. He fills his board again with all these small dudes, and we no longer have an army of small creatures. So we fatal push the Stinkweed Imp. And we are ready to, we killed one with the Liliana. I assume we went for the Neonate since it has Menace. And then we're ready to time walk him with a Cryptic again. Yep. And there we find our win con. It could have been either a Kalitas or a surgical extraction, but this time it was Kalitas, which was probably the superior threat. And since we have 1 mana and no spell, we do suspend the Ancestral Visions. We would have suspended the Ancestral Visions, but he gave up. Sorry about that. So a pretty cool game against Dredge. He certainly could pressure us with his recurring graveyard threats, but we managed to buy time with our Bitter Blossom and cryptic commands until we could draw into one of our haymakers in this matchup. All in all, a pretty cool matchup. If you agree or disagree with some of the plays that we made, please
comment in the comment section, and please subscribe to my channel if you enjoy the content. This is the first time I do a video like this, and yeah, normally I just do streaming, but this is certainly a different pace, and I can talk as much as I want. Alright, thanks for watching, and see you next time. Bye.